Hey guys, this is Nick and thanks for tuning in to Long Island Board Gaming. I'm going to be doing something a little different today and I'm going to be doing a review on a board game. And that board game is Risk Legacy. Now, I grew up on Risk. I've played several different forms of Risk, and this one is by far the most interesting and I highly recommend it, and I'm going to say pick it up and try it. The big thing about this game is it's progressive. Each game builds on your previous game, and I'll get into how that works, but it is absolutely amazing. So you got a pretty standard Risk board here. The classic one, can't go wrong with this. I'm going to be playing with my buddies Rich, Kyle, and John. And you can see here that there's cards on the table. There's 5 factions. Now each player is a faction, which is different, and you get abilities. So you can see that there's stickers here that have different abilities that you get to choose. You essentially pick one, put it on your faction card, and then throw out the other one. So you're making decisions in this game right off the bat that are going to affect the remaining games. Now this is a 15 game board game. If you want to save the board and use double-sided tape to put down stuff because you're going to be marking the board with stickers and tokens and stuff. My thing is I think it's a $50 game. Go out, buy it, and if you play 15 games of Risk, well, that's an accomplishment in itself. Go out and buy another one. This is just a shot of some of the decals that will be going on the cards and or the board. And one of the coolest things about this game is you don't know how it's gonna go on after a couple of games. There's these cards that you can't open until it tells you, and me and my friends are just dying to play additional games to figure out what they are. But open when all 9 minor cities have been founded. Open the first time a faction is eliminated from a game. And then there's boxes on the bottom that have additional pieces that we don't even know what they are yet, and we can't even figure it out because it's not even in the rulebook, because there's empty pages in the rulebook that show you exactly where you're going to be peeling off a sticker and putting new rules into the rulebook. So there could be new pieces in there, or new markers or something. So it's very intriguing, and I'm trying not to read ahead or look up anything so I can, discover it as we go. So opposed to regular Risk, these cards, instead of having infantry, cannons, and cavalry on the bottom, they'll have little coins, and we took, each card comes with 1 coin on it, and essentially as you cash these cards in for additional troops or tokens that will help you end the game and win, you get more guys for each token that's on there. So we took out 12 cards and added a token as per the rules, and the rest of them just have 1 little token on it. So I picked the Saharan Republic, and I got to choose between these 2 abilities. You can make a maneuver at any point during your turn, or when making a maneuver, you may maneuver between any 2 territories you control, even if they're not connected. I chose the second one, which is cool because if I get my forces isolated, I can fortify through enemy territories. If I can go back and change it, I would do the first one because I didn't realize the way this game runs because we're playing it as we learn it, and you actually start in a concentrated area where some Risk games you start all over the place, but it's a decision that you get to make, and each faction has a different card and a set of decisions to make. Each faction also has their own separate capital and infantry markers, so each faction is very unique. It's very cool. I've got these little guys on the right here, and then a little truck in the middle, a Helion or a dune buggy, and then my capital has a little airplane on it. So I'm going to discuss more about this game, but I'm going to show you what goes on as we play. So I went ahead and established my capital down here in Eastern Australia. And then I got to place 8 guys. Now each of the buggies is 3, and each of the little guys counts as 1, so 8 guys. And here's the full board all set up. We got Rich in Europe, Kyle in South America, and John in North America, and I'm all the way over there, isolated in Australia. You can notice that there's different markers all along the board right here in front of us. It shows you that 4 cards you trade in for a token, and to win this game, you need 4 tokens or 4 points. A token is 1 point. Below that little chart shows you if you trade in a card, how many guys you get for each coin that's on the card. The top left, those are scar factors that are essentially stickers that we'll get in not this game, but starting game 2, that we put on the board that can either buff or be detrimental to a territory. And then on the left, there's a whole bunch of lines. Each time you win, you actually sign your name next to the game number. And then also next to the entire continent, there's a little blank area. Um, One of the things that you could do at the end of the game, which I'll get into, is name a territory. And if you control that territory, then you get additional bonuses. So that's very interesting. So in regular Risk, once you destroy a territory or capture it, you draw a card from a pile. And usually there's a territory on it, and there's an infantry or a artillery or a cavalry. But in this game, we've got the territories, but there's 4 cards face up, and they have different coin values. You can see that there's 2 there with 2, and then 2 with 1. Uh, what happens is you need to be able to capture an enemy territory in order to take a card at the end of your turn. You could take a card if you own the territory. So if I own Western Europe, I want to take that card so I can go ahead and cash that in later for more guys. It's also interesting because it creates um, a little bit of a mission or an objective during each individual turn. So that Argentina might pop up and I say, well, you know what, I'm nearby, I want to get that card, so I'm going to go after it. If one of these 4 territories isn't one that you control, then you just take a coin right there next to the deck. And then at the end of each turn, we move where you roll is, we move it into the discard pile, there's a little arrow, and then flip over from the deck where that little arrow is, and then everything slides down. So it's always rotating. So John went first, it looks like, and he's in North America, and he just spreads his guys out. So we each take a turn to do so. And remember, we have to actually take an enemy territory, not a vacant territory, to get a card. I spread myself out, but I keep 2 guys in Siam so I can, keep that chokehold. So here's a handful of shots as the game progresses. So everyone's building up. It looks like someone's moving out of Africa into the rest of the world. It looks like someone's not happy in Greenland and is going for Iceland. And this is John. John goes ahead and captures Rich's capital. And that counts as a point. You need 4 points to win, and you can either get points from capturing capitals or points for cashing in 4 cards to get a token. Now that's all that there is right now. I'm assuming in future games there'll be other ways to get tokens or points to win the game. John's got Rich's capital, so I seize the rest of Europe, killing all of Rich's remaining guys. Now I get to open a pack. So we go ahead and open this up, and inside is comeback powers. Essentially, when you lose or are eliminated, you have a chance of coming back onto a vacant territory, and each faction is going to have a different comeback power. So that's something that we got to open up in the first game. This is a picture of Kyle's mech army closing in on John's Bear cavalry. So through another chain of events, a Scar card gets onto the battlefield there in Africa, and at the end of every turn, that's a mercenary Scar. At the end of every turn, if you control a territory, you get an extra guy that pops up there at the end of your turn. And this is the chain of events that actually end the game. Kyle has 2 capitals, and he's going to loop around Africa into the Middle East and go up towards that purple capital so he can get his 4th point, and he had cashed in cards, so he actually ends up getting all 4 points and wins the game. As the victor, Kyle got a missile token, which he can use every game going forward, and he uses it once, and it turns any die roll of his into a 6, which is pretty great. Also, what he got to do was name a territory, which is what he decided to do. He can either do that or name or found a major city, or do a couple other things that you might be able to do. Some including destroying cards. You can actually rip up some of the territory cards if they receive too many coins. So there's a bunch of different things you could do, but he ends up naming South America, which is where his capital was. He called it the Confederacy because his faction is actually the Confederation. So that's the thing that he did as the winner. And me and John were not eliminated, so we hung in there, which we got to do. We each got to form a minor city or put a coin onto a territory territory card, and we both founded cities, one in Africa, which was Lalopolis, and then I did mine in Southeastern Asia, which I ended up calling Hellion Nation, because that's where I built up all my Hellions. So in game two, which I'll post up, which is something I will be doing, if enough people say go ahead and do it, I don't want to waste my time if no one's really interested in this, but I will post up continuous games to see how this Risk Legacy turns into, or what it turns into, because it seems pretty interesting in terms of all the different things that could happen in future games. So I'll put them up. Let me know if you guys want to see them. Let me know if you think this game's interesting or not. I think it is. I think you should go out and buy it. But yeah, so this was my review and game one of Risk Legacy.